But even at that point there, I realised to myself, I was like, they're not even teaching them about their religion, you know.
And leaving the scandals aside, the church has come under a lot of ridicule from the media, hasn't it? You know, like they have comedy shows making fun of them and things like this.
Yes, of course, Father Ted was a very popular show.
What was that exactly? It was some idiot priest.
Well, it was a house full of priests,
Yes, yeah.
and
It was a mockery, I think, because basically it's a mockery,
poking
fun of the whole, you know, the church, the clergy, the whole system in general, and that really religion is something as an extracurricular activity. Whether you choose to do it or you don't do it, you know, keep it to yourself, as long as you don't interfere in social and political affairs.
This is the secular creed.
This is the creed, if you like.
Because they say, we're not against religion. You have your religion, you know, somebody does crocheting, somebody does bird watching, another guy goes to church. We don't mind. But keep your nose out of politics, economics, education.
Yeah.
And this is the problem. If we look at the history of secularism, I mean, Europe used to be a Christian nation. It used to be Christendom, didn't it? It used to be called Christendom. And then we had Galileo during the time of the Catholics, that he disproved their cosmology. You know, he said that the earth goes around the sun, not vice versa. And then later on, there's Charles Lyell with his principles of geology, proving that the world was very old, older than the Christian church admitted. And then, of course, Charles Darwin, who was the darling of the atheists. You know, he was their main man, because he gave a kind of scientific respectability to atheism, that it all came from nothing. And this very insidious philosophy that we're just animals. And this is the thing, I think, that's led to a lot of immorality in society.
I think as well, certainly what in Ireland, I think wealth has a lot to do with it, you know, how the dynamics of the society. Once you put money in people's pockets, something which they're not used to before. As we know, Ireland was considered one of the poorest countries in Europe as well.
It used to be called the second world.
Yeah, and if you look at it now, it's up there with one of the richest countries in the world. So certainly that has changed, and the generations now, the older generations, would find this, you know, completely, you know, different to the generation which they lived.
Well, it's a fitna, isn't it? It's a trial.
Absolutely.
The trial
and
of
I
wealth.
think that, you know, all combined with, you know, the influence of the media, disparaging the church, mocking the church, under the guise, if you like, of entertainment. And it's amazing how powerful the media can be in moulding public opinion.
Oh, yeah.
And you can do it, and you can desensitize issues such as we mentioned before, many programs, the way the media affects the mentality of the human being, desensitizing, you know, major sins such as homosexuality, profanity, and all this sort of debauchery, if you like.
Yeah,
and
that's
it's
all it
a
is.
great way of desensitizing that. And all goes down to the grassroots as well, even from cartoons such as, you know, Aladdin and things like that. Although Aladdin is more of a disparagement of Arabs and Arabia, but we can see even in that, you know, simple example where the chorus of the song, if you like, or in Aladdin, it goes along the lines of, you know, if it's barbaric, you know, hey, we like it, you know, or no matter if it's barbaric, you know, we like it, you know. So this idea always, you know, adds to opinions and how the person thinks then in the future.
Yeah. Ibrahim, the media doesn't have any opposition in Ireland, does it? It doesn't seem to have anybody that's arguing against it.
No, it doesn't. And I think that's, as we discussed the secular ideas that they have, even recently in the government, they have reintroduced laws banning religious advertisements in newspapers.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So they're taking it from all angles to restrict any sort of form of religious activity, you know, brought into the media.
I wonder if this is part and part of the loans they've been getting, you know, some of the side issues.
Well, I think even these loans and things, I think even a lot of people are living beyond their means. They're living this lifestyle which they only dreamed about many years ago. And certainly, as you mentioned before, it's a fitna, isn't it? It's money creates a fitna. It's a wealth changes the disposition of the human, unless he has any fixed creed there that's going to prevent him from doing unlawful acts, then the shaitan's going to is going to lead him astray. And Allah says in the Quran, "Man adallu man ittabi'a hawahu," okay, that whoever chooses to follow his desires, man adallu, is the one who's gone most astray. So we need to realize is that the one who follows his desires, he's not being a servant to God, the Creator, he's being a servant to his own desires.
Yeah.
So this is an important point, that we realize that when Allah is speaking, He wants us to be slaves of Him, not to our own desires. And certainly we find in Ireland, take an example of Ireland, because we're all from Ireland, we understand that the people generally are very nice people. They have nice qualities, and they have certain they've some nice etiquette. But we find now certainly most of the youth, there's something missing there. And I certainly, talking to a few friends, they even said it without me even mentioning it. The country, we have money, we have everything, but we're missing something. And that is, I think, faith. They don't have it at the moment.
Yeah. Because the nature of the secular society is downwards. I mean, the trend is downwards. For example, in Britain in the 50s, they made adultery or living together without marriage legal. Used to be illegal, And they said, we're secular, and this law comes from the Bible. If I want to live with this woman without marriage, it's only religious laws that prohibit it, so they let it go. Then next, in the 60s, 1966, the Homosexuality Act, up pops the Qawm al-Lut people, and they say, you're against what we do only because it's in the Bible. If we're a secular country, so they're admitted. Now, when I left Sweden in 1977, there was a case of a man living with his daughter, in a sexual relationship, and it was on the books of the law as being illegal. Incest was illegal. And they brought him to court. He said, she's adult, I'm adult, we're consenting adults. This is their this is one of their articles of faith as well, consenting adults in private. Consenting adults in private, do what you like. And the case was thrown out. The judge threw it out, because of this. And now it's going on in England. I saw a chat show, that awful Kilroy creature. He had a program where there were two sets of brothers and sisters who were living together and had children. One was not really their fault. They were adopted, and one went to Newcastle, the other went to London, and they met as adults, and they didn't know they were brother and sister. Only when they tried to get married were their origins found out. This is another argument against adoption. But I mean, the fact that it's going on, it's allowed, and it's getting worse. In Holland now you have a paedophile party. They registered as a political party. They want to bring the age of consent down to 12, and they want to make bestiality legal. So what's that in the Quran? لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ. No, from Surah Al. It says that Allah creates man in the best of molds, but He brings Himself down to the lowest of the low. It's a fact.
Yeah, it's true. And we find even with the dangers of the secularism as well, is that they range in degrees of, if you like, of evil or badness, if you like. Someone will say to you, well, we don't reject that there's God, but you keep it, to yourself. And then some people will say that just to attract what you have to say. It's the kind of the wolf in the sheep suit scenario. And that God is not exhausted to one particular faith, rather He's multilingual, and He speaks Arabic on Friday and Hebrew on Saturday and Latin on Sunday. And this idea that, that we're all going to, if we're all on the same, foot page, if you like, and you don't need to be following your particular faith. And it's the way they want us, particularly as Muslims, to dilute our religion just like the Christians diluted their religion. So the religion which we see in front of us, which the Christians follow, that it is doesn't resemble that message of Jesus alayhi salam, and they want us to do the exact same thing
It's
as
toughness,
that.
isn't it?
Yeah. So if we look at that,
Emasculated.
exactly. So we look at that and we see that, you know, they want us to do that, and they will give us some arguments, say, make your religion modern, you know, you need to move up with the times. It's the 21st century now. And
as if there's anything modern about alcohol, adultery and atheism.
Exactly,
I mean,
yeah.
the people of Noah were doing that, you know.